guys, today I'm going to talk to you about how all nursing homes aren't as safe as many assume. A large amount of the population in our country aren't seeing and understanding what is happening behind closed doors to nursing homes. All nursing homes aren't safe and trustworthy as many assume. Nursing homes meant to be a safe living for our elders to be cared for in their golden years have turned into a nightmare for senior citizens across the country, becoming a target for countless acts of neglect and abuse. It is an unfortunate fact that elder abuse is a widespread problem, and older adults are exposed to abuse not only in domestic settings, but also in human service settings. The thought of the matter is disturbing, but the abuse and neglect of our elders is happening way too frequently in our country. When one is an elderly person, he or she becomes more vulnerable than a younger person, and putting them in a nursing facility makes them even more vulnerable because it simply means they can't fend or defend themselves. There are multiple types of abuse. The first type that takes place in a nursing home is physical abuse. This type of abuse is a non-accidental abuse done by touching, pushing, hitting, and anything that is physically done to a resident by a worker at the facility, such as the nurses and caregivers. Along with physical abuse, there is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse can be when the resident is suffering from stress, depression, or anxiety, and the caregiver chooses to yell at the resident, which causes the disease to become worse. The third type of abuse is financial fraud. This type of abuse is basically taking advantage of the elders that don't really understand what's going on. This can include billing for procedures and medicines that did not take place. The companies can earn the trust of the vulnerable elder, then simply take advantage of them and steal their money without them even realizing. The last type of abuse is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse that happens in a nursing home doesn't always have to be physical. It can also be verbal, such as forcing the residents to undress without a cover. Consider these facts. The National Center on Elder Abuse estimated 1 to 2 million elders are abused annually. Only 1 in 14 cases of elder abuse is reported. Estimates of the frequency of elder abuse range from 2 to 10%. Many families in this day and age are choosing long-term care in comparison to home care for their own personal reasons. If a family is looking into a nursing home for their loved ones, there are a few steps to take before choosing a facility. When a family chooses to put their loved one in a nursing home, it is very important to do lots of research on that particular facility, find other families that have used that facility before, visit the facility multiple times, and talk to the residents and staff. There are multiple signs and symptoms to be aware of when a loved one is a victim of being abused. If your loved one is being physically abused, the family may notice visual marks and bruises on the elder. Most of the time, the victim is a resident that cannot speak up for themselves, or they are suffering from a disease that they don't remember they were even abused. Signs of sexual abuse are a little harder to recognize than physical due to private areas being covered by clothing. Some signs to look for are bruises around the breasts and genitals, genital infections, unexplained vaginal bleeding, and torn, stained, or bloody clothing. Signs of emotional abuse tend to be harder to pick up on if the resident cannot speak for themselves. Signs of emotional abuse are the following: threatening, belittling, or controlling caregiver behavior that you witness behavior from the elder that mimics dementia, such as rocking, sucking, or mumbling to oneself. To recognize the symptoms of financial abuse, the family would have to pay close attention to their elders' billing information. Some signs to look for when being financially abused are significant withdrawals from the elder's account, sudden changes in the elder's financial condition, items or cash missing from the senior's nursing area. When working in a nursing home several years back, I witnessed physical abuse in a nursing home. There was a lady falling out of bed, so I let the nurses and caregivers know, and they decided and chose to ignore me, explaining to me that she always does that. They didn't help her, and she fell off and had bruises all over her arms. Prevention of abuse and neglect in a nursing home does exist. If a family decides to choose long-term care, it is important for them to visit the facility frequently, such as several times a week. Educate others about abuse in the facility so they can be aware that it exists too. It is important to speak up if anyone suspects any type of abuse. They will only be helping, not hurting. There are multiple hotlines one can call and report anonymously. Spreading the awareness of abuse and neglect of elders is one way to minimize the amount of cases across the country. Our elders are people just like the rest of us. They all deserve to be treated with respect and love the last few years they have to spend. It is important for the family to lay out their options when considering long-term facility. More and more cases are arising throughout the country, and it is time for it to stop. Thank you.